With a little over 1 week left until the Cuphead DLC comes out, you all may be asking, Flourish, how can you milk the fuck out of the game even though the DLC has yet to come out? Well my friends, I got the video just for you, because with the DLC coming out very soon, you all are probably out here playing the game getting ready for the DLC that's apparently harder than every boss in the original game. Well in this video, I'll be talking about the original game for once and not the DLC, and this is for all you people who may have just picked up the game or anyone who is just getting into Cuphead speedrunning. When I tell you this game can get harder than Expert Mode and Pacifist, trust me it can, and this is what does it. Today I'm going to be going over every beginner speedrun technique that you can do in Cuphead, from getting the Ribby and Croak skip all the way to skipping the entirety of Rumour Honeybottom's last phase. So stay locked in because this is going to be a longer video than usual. Now with the intro out of the way, let's get to the rundown. Okay, first of all, let's talk about a few things before we get into the boss fight, specifically different techniques that you will use throughout the run and a few ground rules for a speedrun. First of all, let's go over the route and loadout. Typically in a Cuphead speedrun, one's usual loadout would be the Lobber as the primary weapon and the spread as a secondary. What I mean by this is the Lobber will be in slot A and the spread will be in slot B, just to make things clear. This is because once you enter a boss fight, you want to always be doing damage at all times, and if you have the spread in slot A, that is damage lost in the moments you take to walk up close to the boss and start attacking, which indirectly causes you to lose time on your run. So always have the Lobber in slot A and the spread in slot B, and that's pretty much it for the loadout. You will not be using any charms or specials throughout this run, because the only way to get a charm such as the smoke bomb would be going through 2 running guns, and you only have time for 1, so that's that. And you never get a special in the speedrun because of a technique I'll be getting into a bit later. Now let's get into the run route. In Inkwell Isle 1, the usual route is Forest Follies, Porkrind's Emporium to get your weapons, then Botanic Panic, Ribby and Croaks, and then just follow the route upwards to the next 3 bosses until you beat the Isle. Next up in Isle 2, there are 2 different routes you can take, but the one I'm about to tell you is one that works really well with me and what I've found the most success in. Essentially, you start on Beppy the Clown's fight and then do a full sweep of the Isle. The other way that I mentioned is to do Sugarland Shimmy first, then Aviary Action, and then coming back down to do every other boss, leaving Fiery Frolic for last, which does kind of work, but it's extra movement for no reason when you have the secret path to get to Fiery Frolic faster. Both ways work fine, but I just found my way to be better and more efficient because you're literally just doing a full sweep from the bottom boss in the Isle all the way to the top, and I found the most success with mine. And finally, you do Isle 3 in this order: Rumour Honeybottoms, Dr. Cal, Sally Stage Play, Marine Corps, Captain Brineybeard, High Seas Hijinks, and finally the Phantom Express. And then you just do Inkwell Hell as usual, King Dice, then the Devil, and that's the route. Sounds easy enough, right? I hope so, because knowing the route is the easiest part. Oh yeah, I almost forgot one thing that'll probably save you some time. It's just a little bit, it's not that big of a deal, but once you skip the opening sequence of the game, you can actually dash twice towards Elder Kettle to be able to talk to him faster, like the opening scene where you walk over to Elder Kettle to talk to him. You can actually dash twice, as you can see on screen right now. Also, you can exit the house by just going to the menu screen and pressing exit to map. And that was just a quick little thing I chucked in just for those that didn't know, and it's a quick little time save if you didn't know about it. Alright, now it's time to get serious. Let's get to the bosses now. The first boss I'll be speaking about is Ribby and Croaks. I'll specifically be talking about how to perform the phase 2 skip properly and what technique to use. I did make a full video going over this entire technique in great detail, but I'll briefly go over it now. But if you would like to check out that video, it will be the top link in the description. And just to be clear, I will not be going over the super skip of Ribby and Croaks. That is a very advanced technique that I will not be going over. This is a beginner's guide, as you can see in the title, for people who are just getting into speedrunning. So it's going to be the regular phase 2 skip. Okay, essentially the techniques you'll have to use in this boss and in some of the other fights in the game will be the weapon swap technique and the Lobber glitch. I don't know what to call it, so I'll just be calling it that for now. First off, the weapon swap technique. Basically what you have to perform is what you see on screen right now, which is to keep your shot button held down the entire time while using your spread EX every time you swap back to it. If you look on the bottom left of the screen, you can see that I'm swapping it very fast, and every time I swap back to the spread, I use my EX move, so that's essentially the technique. Trust me, it seems easy in practice, but once you get into the game, everything just goes to shit. Now for the Lobber glitch. I still don't know what to call it, but essentially what you want to do is go close enough to the boss you're attacking and use your EX move downwards so it hits the ground and the boss at the same time. This basically does a fuckload more damage than if you would just use the Lobber on the boss normally. I have no idea about the science behind it or whatever it is, I just know what it does. So yeah, those are the 2 important techniques that you'll be using throughout this entire run for most bosses. Now let's talk about how to go about out defeating Ribby and Croaks. But before we do that, do not forget to hit the subscribe button and like the video if you haven't already. I really appreciate the support you guys have been giving me as of recent, and we are on the way to 1,000 subscribers. We are so close. We are like at 800 right now. It's absolutely crazy to think that the channel is growing so fast. So I just want to say thank you to all of you guys doing support. I see all of your comments. I respond to most of them, I think, but I see them all, even if I don't. So yeah, so if you can, consider subscribing to the channel for more content like this, and thank you guys so much for 800 subscribers. Now let's get back to your regularly scheduled programming. Okay, so once you get into the fight, you're going to want to get as close as you can to Ribby and Croaks without taking damage. And just as a side note, both Ribby and Croaks have separate hitboxes, which will become very important in how this skip works. So as you can see on screen right now, while I'm shooting at them with the spread, you see both of them flashing up white. While at the beginning of the fight, when I was only hitting Ribby, the shorter frog, he was the only one flashing white. This means that both of the frogs are getting hit instead of just one of them. The most important thing is that you make sure that Croaks starts off attacking you first, because if Ribby starts at the beginning of the fight shooting his punches, it ruins the entire run. So as I was saying, you start off the fight attacking them both with the spread until Croaks stops shooting his fireflies. And once Ribby almost starts shooting his punches, you're gonna want to take damage and get up close using your damage booster and start using the weapon swap technique I just went over until you get to 1 HP, and then you start dodging his punches up close while shooting at him. Trust me, this is easier said than done, and it takes a lot of practice to get done right. Now this is very important. Once you leave the inside and start shooting while dodging the punches, you're going to need 3 EX moves to be able to get the skip. If not, it will not happen and the phase will go on as usual. The reason you need 3 EX moves is because as soon as Ribby rolls across your screen, you're gonna want to get as close as possible to Croaks without taking any damage and start doing the lobber glitch. This is what will trigger the second phase skip, and the third phase will then begin. If you do not have 3 EX moves for the second phase, the second phase will still happen. It's just Croaks will not turn into a fan. It's just Ribby that'll be shooting his punches once again. Once you can put all the pieces together, bam, you are now able to do the Ribby and Croaks skip. Fortunately enough, this is a beginner's Cuphead speedrun tactic video, so you do not have to worry about the super skip. That'll be for another day. You know, I just realized this video has been going on a lot longer than I thought it would, and I'm just done the Ribby and Croaks fight, so I'll be just talking about the IL-1 bosses in this video. And if this video gets 100 likes, I will do a part 2 of this video and we'll talk about IL-2 speedrun tactics, and maybe IL-3 depending of how efficient I get through each boss. But for now, let's talk about the last 2 bosses, Goopy Legrand and Hildeberg. Let's get to it. Let's talk about Hildeberg first, because Goopy is a little more complicated. So there's basically only one strategy you need to know for this, and it's how to time your EX. So as you probably know how her boss fight goes, she attacks you and then she swoops across the screen as she turns into a star sign. So here's where the tech comes into play. Once you see her in her animation that telegraphs your screen shoot, you want to line yourself up with her to take damage, and then use your damage boost to then line yourself up to where she re-enters the screen, which is the same place every time. And you want to time your EX move so it follows her the entire time as she re-enters the screen, and then follow up with a second EX once he transforms, and then she'll transform back instantly as you see on the screen right now. I know there's a lot of information, I said transform too many times, so as I say that, I'll play out that scenario on screen. You'll see what I mean. Essentially what you want to do to get the timing right on your EX is to count to 2. But the instant you say 2, you want to shoot your EX. It will take a little bit of practice to get it consistent, but once you get it, it'll be easy every time. Then you have to take no damage for the rest of the fight and only use your EXs in the last phase while she's unleashing her UFOs. This one isn't that hard of a technique to master, but still takes a bit of practice to get. Now onto the final boss of the first Inkwell, and probably the hardest technique in Inkwell 1 in my opinion, Goopy Legrand. Now, the moment we all saw this boss for the first time we played the game, we saw it as the easiest boss in the game next to Botanic Panic. He may be casually the easiest boss in the game, but not speedrun wise. Let me tell you why. So the entirety of the first phase, you want to be dealing damage consistently all the time. Usually in other fights, you can get away with not dealing damage at some points, but to get him done quick, you need to be always dealing damage. But I hear you asking, well, he's jumping everywhere, how's that even possible? Well, my friends, here's where the lobber comes into play. Instantly when you get to the fight, you want to hold down the shoot button and jump so you can get instant damage with the lobber. And throughout the fight, anytime you get close to the fucker, you want to switch to the spread and attack him. But the moment he jumps away from you, you want to use the lobber and jump with him so it's able to damage him. This applies to the first and second phase only. Now once you get to the second phase death animation, you want to use the same technique we used in the Ribby and Croaks fight in this one too. You want to take damage and do the weapon swap technique while inside side, and during the start of the third phase, you'll want to try and finish off as quick as you can. I myself am unable to do this perfectly, but I will play my run of this boss to end this video off. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I know it's kind of a niche ending to the video. It's kind of quick, but I want to show you guys as quick as possible, so I'm gonna get this outro finished as fast as I can. I hope you all enjoyed the video and learned some techniques you otherwise wouldn't have been able to, because I've seen on YouTube there's not many people going over these speedrun techniques, and I just wanted to give them to you guys. And I know you guys are probably playing the game to get ready for the DLC, so here it is. And as always, at the end of every single video, I hope you'll have a fantastic rest of your day, and don't forget, at 100 likes you'll get a part 2 of this. And with that, I will see you all next time. Peace.